Hello, family. This is Ann Talley, author of 30 Days to Live, the book. Here's the book. If you haven't gotten your copy, go ahead and get your copy. Whatever platform you're on, just give me a thumbs up so you can keep hearing information from me. Subscribe, like, share. Let's get the word out there. Good to talk to you. It's Monday. Today, as promised, we're going to start doing some regular programming. So today, one of the things that I promised that we would do is called Mental Health Mondays. And simply because I'm noticing that there is a need for it here within our community, and that it is also a very definite need in our community. And in many communities, we have a lot of people that are suffering, and because of whatever stigma may be attached to what they think mental health is, they are neglecting to seek help or to even feel like confiding into people. So today we're going to start with Mental Health Monday. So just wanted to go over a few facts. We're going to be broadcast. I'm trying to broadcast from two different platforms at the same time. So far so good. But I just want to go over a couple of facts in regards to mental health, because I know there's a lot of miscommunication when it comes down to talking about mental health. So let's just talk about the definition of mental health. Includes your emotional, physical, and social well-being. So mental health doesn't mean that you're crazy. It doesn't mean that you're nuts. It doesn't mean something's wrong with you. It just means that you're in a place where you're just not like you're used to be. You are just having some difficulty, which we all have. And if we're ever honest with ourselves, and if we ever really tell the truth, all of us go through seasons or times when we don't feel like doing backflips outside, or we just want to be quiet and we just want to be left alone, and we want to figure out some things that are going on in our life and we just want to figure it out. So, what exactly is your mental health comprised of? So one of the things that I looked up, it includes your emotional, your psychological, and your social well-being. Those are three very important issues in mental health. Your mental health is the most important part of your being, because if your mind's not right, if your emotions not right, it determines how you react to everything else around you. It affects your relationships. It affects your work ethics. It affects your diet. It affects your health. It affects your friendships. It affects your social life. What you do outside. It affects all of that. Your mental health does that. The misconception of mental health is that we think that you're crazy or there's no return, and that's not necessarily so. Um, One of the things that contribute to mental health, and we're talking about mental health awareness on Monday. This is Mental Mondays, and we're just starting today at the ground level. Your biological makeup can affect it. Genes, your how your brain is wired. Sometimes when you're under a whole lot of stress, it releases hormones and toxins into your system, and it affects how you act. Your life experiences. A lot of times what we take as mental health is that we're just mentally at a breaking point. We've been under a pressure for so long that we have reached a point of breaking, to the point of where we're exhausted, that we're tired, that we're emotional. We may not want to do the things we used to do. We may not want to be bothered. We may not want to go to the party. We may not want to go out to dinner. We might just want to be in the house by ourselves. Sometimes mental health consists of mental exhaustion. You're just tired. You're just mentally tired of going through the same thing. And sometimes it feels like you don't know what the outcome is. And that can affect you in many, many ways. Family history. Sometimes our genetics make up some of our mental, what's going on within us. And when I say mental, I don't mean that in a negative way, but mentally, your health, as far as how you feel, how you think, is one of the most important. And I know we talk about the body, but the most important part of this vessel is your brain, is your mind, is your heart. Those things that function and control how you live your life. So let's just talk about some signs, because a lot of times we don't know what the signs are. today when I was doing my reading, I didn't know what the signs were. And when I read it, I was like, well, dear Lord, I spent a whole lot of time um, upset. So one of the things is eating or sleeping too much or too little. If you find yourself in a place of where you're overeating or you just can't seem to make yourself eat, those are signs that you have reached your mental capacity and that mentally you are having some problems. You're at a place of where you may need to seek other resources. Isolation, we talked about that. When you're at a point of where you just don't want to be bothered, you don't want to talk to anybody, you don't want to be around anybody, that's a red flag that, hey, maybe I've been under a little too much pressure. Maybe something's going on. If you're, and when I say your body makeup may be the issue, some vitamins that your body is lacking can cause sadness. Vitamin D is one of them. If you're lacking vitamin D, you're more prone to sadness and depression. If you're lacking any of the B vitamins, you may experience a low area or a sadness. It just means that your body's saying, hey, we've been without something for too long. We need some help. No energy. If you're just feeling lethargic and you just can't seem to make yourself go, you can't seem to get yourself out of bed, that is a sign that you are suffering from too much emotional weight. Feeling numb, like nothing matters. When you get to the point where you like, I don't even care, it don't even matter, that's a red flag. And that's a sign that, hey, I need to change something. I need to do something else. This one got me. Body aches and pains. If you're experiencing aches and pains and you're going to the doctor and they're like, nothing's wrong with you, and you're still feeling aches and pains, that could be an emotional sign that you need to get some help and that you need to talk to somebody. And when I say talk to somebody, that doesn't necessarily mean a psychiatrist. And I'm not against that, because I think everyone has their own venue of which they can go to get help. But it does mean that if you have a good friend that you can trust, and I mean really trust, and they gonna put your business in the street. One of my outlets is I write. I keep notebooks all around me. When I'm having a low day or when I'm not feeling quite myself, I write in notebooks. That's my out. I video record and just talking to the camera, and then when I feel better a few days later, I'll replay it. And most times when I look at it, I say, gee, what were you really going through this day? So sometimes if you talk to people, it helps you get it out. But the one thing that with this Mental Health Mondays, I want to really get across is that there's nothing wrong with you. Just because you're in a low place, or just because you feel sad, or because you don't feel like things are working out, that's nothing wrong with you. That just means that you have been under the weight that you've been under too long. And you just need somebody to understand and somebody to relate to where you are. You just need to be able to feel comfortable to confide in someone. It doesn't mean you're crazy. It just means that life has happened and you just have to find your way back. Another sign of you are in a mental low place is feeling hopeless and helpless. When you get to the point where you feel like nothing's ever going to work, first of all, that's not true. What I tell my children all the time is, as long as you're breathing, everything, and I do mean everything, is subject to change. As long as you're here on this earth, there's nothing that cannot change. And it can change for the better at an instant, in a moment. Smoking or drinking too much, that's another sign. If you find that you are drinking more than you usually do, or you're doing drugs, or that, there's a sign to say, hey, something's wrong. Feeling confused, forgetful, on edge, angry, upset, worried all the time. The human body and the human mind was not meant to be under constant, consistent stress. It was not created. When you're under a lot of stress, constantly and consistently, it does things to your body. You end up with ulcers. You end up with high blood pressure. You end up with aches and pains. You end up sleepless and restless. You end up cranky and crabby. We were not created to always be upset. Yelling and outbursts. Sometimes I give a good example of, if you go to a store and you never met the clerk before, and all of a sudden she just go off on the deep end, or he go off on the deep end, 9 times out of 10 it's not you. You're probably just the outlet that was available at that moment. People generally just don't go off on people for no reason. It's generally a buildup of other things, and unfortunately sometimes you can be that one individual that just unfortunately happened to get it. Mood swings. Mood swings is another clear indication that, hey, I've had enough. I've done too much. Memories or thoughts that you can't get rid of. If you find yourself in a place where you are plagued with thoughts that you know don't line up with your future or where you're going to go, then that's a flag to say, hey, something's wrong. I got to do something. Hearing voices. If you're hearing voices that are not God spirited and that are not propelling you to be the better you, that's a red flag. Hey, something's wrong here. Thinking of harming yourself. We're in a time where I have, I'm 45 years old. I've never known a time when so many little people are considering taking their own lives. And we have to talk to one another. There's a song when I was growing up, I used to hear, and the song used to say, no man is an island, no man stands alone. So what that means is that we all depend on each other. So that means us as brothers and sisters have to pay attention to each other. If you have a loved one or a child or a friend or somebody that just not quite acting right, don't take it for granted that they'll just be okay. That's not always the case. I thank God for the friends that I have. My friends are the type of friends that will, if you don't answer the phone and if you don't show up, they are at your door. Matter of fact, my dear friend, one morning I was tired. I had worked a couple of days, 16 hours straight, and I was just really tired. And so I was asleep and I didn't hear the door. She was ready to kick my door in. And even though the thought of it was like, oh my God, you were going to do what? But I thank God for her that she loved me enough to know that that was not my normal behavior. My daughter's another one. If I don't answer the phone a couple of times, she is sending out the search party. We have got to be more responsible for one another. Our mental health is dependent on how we treat one another. One of the last things, can't perform tasks. When you find yourself in a place where you can't focus and you cannot get your mind to wrap around what you need to do, it is time to seek help. It is time to ask for help. If that means you have to write it on a piece of paper and slide it up under somebody's door, baby, do what you got to do. Because the one thing I know, and two things are for sure, this earth needs you. You were put here for a purpose. You're put here for a reason. And we need you. You weren't created to just be by yourself. We need you. We're a unit. And as a unit, we need each other. So another thing that I want to talk about on this Mental Monday is our men. And men are raised to be strong, to be a force to be reckoned with. But they suffer the worst because for whatever reason, men have this thought process that they can't talk or that they can't share or that it'll make them weak. Baby, when life happens, the proof of your strength is that you're still standing. The proof of how strong you are is that what might have took somebody else out kept you're here. So I don't ever want my brothers or my sisters to ever feel like you're weak because you share, or you're weak because you cry, or you're weak because you're frustrated, or you're weak because you can't get something to work. Baby, it is quite the opposite. The sheer fact that you have the strength to get up and keep going every single solitary day shows you that you are strong and that you're powerful and that you are a force to be reckoned with. And so on today, on our Mental Monday, I encourage you to, if you are having some problems, do whatever you got to do, baby, to make it. And I say this because I can say this because I love you. And even though we are through a screen, and even though we are, some of us may have never met and may never ever meet, but you are important to me. And you are a beautiful and wonderful human being. And your mental health matters. You matter. You are important. I cannot say that enough. So if you're in a low place, it's okay. It's okay. That doesn't take anything away from you. It doesn't make you weak. It just means that you have carried the weight too long. You've been in the same place too long. People have said the wrong things to you too long. You've gone unappreciated too long. People have walked by you and didn't notice you too long. You've bared the weight of the world on your shoulders too long. That's all mental health means. And I need you to understand that just hold on. As long as you are breathing, everything, and I do mean everything, is subject to change. And that you are appreciated and you are loved and you are amazing and you are strong and you are powerful. And even though right at this moment you may not feel strong, because there's days that, and I wrote a whole book, and it's days I don't feel strong. It's days that I feel exhausted. It's days that I feel neglected. It's days that I feel like, well, what's my point? What am I doing here? But in those days, I look ahead to what I'm trying to accomplish. I look at the people around me and I go, if I can't do it for me, I got to do it for them. And sometimes you just got to find a reason, babies. You got to find a reason to make it. Sometimes my reasons may not always be the good reasons, but sometimes when I get frustrated and life has taken its toll on me, one of my reasons is I'm going to do it just to spite the people that said I can't. That's my reason. But I just today wanted to share with you. We'll start doing mental Mondays every Monday because you're that important to me. And the premise of my book is 30 Days to Live. And the reason why it's titled that is because in 30 days you can change anything about your life you want. It don't take years and months to change your life. 30 days is how you formulate a habit. So if you make success your habit and you begin to understand the principles of your creation, meaning that you were made in the image of God himself, just let that sink in. So that means just like with my children, they share my DNA and they're made in my image and in their father's image. So that means what's in me is in them. And even some of the things that we didn't teach them because genetics is in them. So I say to you, you are great. You are powerful. And you are amazing. So today on Mental Health Monday, hug yourself. Tell yourself, you have to get in the mirror and tell yourself, hey, you are amazing. You're wonderful. And you're going to do this. And you're going to do a good job. And that's what you do. Because some days that's what I have to do. I don't always feel always on top. But I make it happen. And I thank God for the ability to share with you. And as we go forth on Mental Mondays, I'll share with you some of my struggles and some of my moments when I just felt like I couldn't do no more and I couldn't go no further and I wasn't going to make it. And how in those moments God always sent an angel or some loving person to pull me out of that place. And I thank God for people that surround me, because those people that surround me, a lot of times when I've been sliding that way, they'll come out like, hey, that's not what we're doing. Come on, let's get it together. So on this Mental Health Monday, hug yourself. If it's something that you feel like you didn't do right, forgive yourself. Self-forgiveness is the best gift you could ever give yourself. It's nothing you can do about anything you did yesterday. So go on and tell yourself, all right, self, I forgive you. Forgive yourself and move forward. So that's going to end our broadcast today. Whatever platform you're on, if you're on Periscope, like, subscribe, most definitely share. If you're on YouTube, thumbs up, like, subscribe, share, because there's somebody out there that's probably at their wit's end and they don't really know what's wrong with them, and they need to know they're going to be okay. Tomorrow's a new day. They're going to be fine. So with that being said, 30 Days to Live is still available on Amazon.com. It's still available at authorhouse.com. The preferred platform is Author House. Get your copy. I promise you it'll bless you. There'll be more things coming in the future. Also, check us out on Facebook. It's our page, 30 Days to Live, and you'll see it'll say Vision Accomplished, because that is our company name. You'll see Vision Accomplished with the pages, 30 Days to Live. On Instagram, we're Vision Accomplished 313. On Twitter, we're Vision Accomplished 313. We're on Wix, and that is our page is Vision Accomplished. So however you need, reach out to us. Comment and let us know what you're thinking, because if you're in a low place or a sad place, somebody out there might need to know that too. Because one of the things about mental illness is that, or a mental low place, is that you tend to feel isolated, and you're not. I promise you right now, however you're feeling, somebody else is out there feeling the exact same way. So tonight, my darlings, my loves, I say I love you. I say have a peaceful evening, and God bless you. Good night.